Hello.
All right, great. Well, great. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I want to be conscious of people's time. So thank you, everyone, for joining the latest IlliniCloud Webinar Series. I want to extend wholehearted greetings and welcome to the next session where we're featuring Mentimeter. As people on this call may know or may not know, my name is Jat Pannu. I'm the Business and Operations Lead for the IlliniCloud. And we have the folks from Mentimeter joining us today, Martin, and I think, Martin, you've got a collection of folks that are in the room with you, so I'll let you do introductions. As always, this is an interactive session, so please feel free to type questions into the chat, as well as any kind of contact information for yourself, name, role, etc. As a reminder, we have these IlliniCloud webinars scheduled every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time, Eastern Time, and 11 a.m. Central Time. So this session is being recorded. It'll be posted to the IlliniCloud YouTube channel, along with all the other webinars that we've done to date. So with that, Martin, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and you can do some quick introductions.
Thank you, Jat. It's Niklas Ingvar speaking at the moment, and I have Martin next to me, just so you know. So, and thank you for having me. Before I get started, I would like every participant in this webinar to start participating in this webinar by grabbing your phone and going to this URL, which is menti.com. And I will ask basically how you are doing today. So I want you to grab your phone, go to menti.com, and you key in the code 33, 57, and 14. And I'll do a quick check-in question here. So the code is 33, 57, 14. Okay, great. I get one participant. And second one. And I think, if I understand this correctly, we're about 5 people joining this call today, and it might be more joining later. Is that correct, Jat?
Yeah, so I've got Jim Peterson here with me, and he's the District 87 Tech handle that's in the meeting. Typically, we get a splattering of different attendees, but again, this is recorded, and a lot of the traffic goes out on the IlliniCloud YouTube channel, so we'll usually try to catch it there.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to move on to tell you a little bit about today's agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and do a short introduction soon, and then I'll showcase a couple of use cases with Mentimeter within the educational sector. And as you understand, maybe already, I'm actually using exactly the tool that our teachers are using in front of their students. So what you see here is actually what you project on a screen. So I'm showing something which we call the quick slides, which is a fast way to just demonstrate a couple of bullets. And then I will move over to show you how actually fast and quickly you can create your own presentation or lecture, or depending on how you can use the tool. And then I'll talk a little bit about the benefits of Mentimeter, but then I will open up for a question and answer. So you can use Mentimeter, we can have a quick chat, but I'll try to gather all the questions with Mentimeter, so you can either use your smartphone or the laptop you're sitting in and ask questions using this code, but we will come to that later. So a quick introduction. My name is Niklas Ingvar. I'm the co-founder and also and I'm also the product owner of Mentimeter. We have a couple of known use cases for us. It's Oslo University and Aarhus University and Imperial College. We have 6 million users. We have 6 million users and customers in 55 countries. And we've been around for about 4 years and grown organically since then. So we have a small investment backed startup, but in general, we are working with our customers to build a good product, and that's how we go by. I put a couple of notable customers in the bottom right corner. They're not educational sector in that sense, but they're quite big use cases for us. They all have a big licenses for us. So let's move over to the demo, and you will actually go into the role as a student. So you will try out Mentimeter from the student perspective, and you can consider me as one of the teachers in classrooms or an educator in any sense. So an icebreaker is a great way to start any type of lecture. I just showcased a version of that. It's sort of a fun way to see what kind of mood you're in, and you seem positive, so I'm going to go ahead on that. And then I'm going to show how you can do quick questions or quick quizzes. And this is one way to actually do formative assessments in a very professional and sort of correct way. And we can treat that when we enter the demo. And then I'll do a math example. I'll show you how our quiz works, and then I'll show you how an exit survey could work. So let's move directly over to the quick questions. So this is one way of using Mentimeter. I think this might be more suitable for a K-12 level, but you can enter anything in these images. So again, if you go ahead and use your smartphones or your laptops, you can enter the code, which is 335714, and you can answer this question. And typically, me as a teacher, I can in this geography lessons talk to you about different flags and different state flags, and I can test the knowledge of the class. And as you all know, with formative assessment, it's very important that it's anonymous, so that in that sense, none of the students lose face and stuff like that. So, and now I understand that one of my students did not know which one was the Massachusetts state flags, but the rest of you had a good score. To show you a little bit more about the versatility of Mentimeter, I can go into the left side here with my mouse, so I can actually do this in front of my students. I can clear the result directly live, and you can start voting again. I can hide the result, which might be very important if you want to talk about the question and you want to see the votes coming in the bottom right corner. You can see the students voting, but none of the students will affect the others. So no one can cheat, no one can wait for the answers, and sometimes you don't want sort of a bandwagon effect. And we can talk more about these. I'm going to show you this one. So sometimes you can segment. This is more relevant when you have sort of an initial checking question, which could be sort of what is your favorite subject or what's your gender or anything like that. And then you can have a different question where you can segment the answer based on gender. This is quite fun to do. Not many is educational use cases. It's mostly used during bigger lectures, but I just want to show you this. So, but there's a different way to sort of, if you want to sort of change your way of teaching, you can ask the same question, but in a different way. So in this case, it's a little bit more difficult. So which state has this flag? So you probably know this answer now. And as you can see in your smartphones or in your laptops, you are pushed to the next question as soon as I move to the next question. And in this instance, you don't see the results, so it's actually automatically hidden. I'm going to wait for at least 4 votes. Okay, there we go. So 5 votes. Perfect. So you guys thought it was Illinois, Massachusetts, and Nevada. It's actually Massachusetts. Yes, it is. Cool. I don't know. There is a blinking here. Chat. Do you want me to answer the questions, or no? I'll answer the questions after this seminar. So okay. I'm going to move on to the next question. I'm going to hide that. Cool. So this is an example of, again, using imagery to ask the question. You don't have to have image in Mentimeter to make it work, but this could be one of the questions I can answer. And as you can see, there is an open-ended text field, so you can answer however you would like. or in this case, you can just write test if you feel that you don't want to do algebra at this time of the day. So I can see if anyone dares to answer this question. Should I give it a second? I see Martin here struggling. He doesn't even know. So the answer is -25, and if I want, I can give you a couple of seconds to answer this. So this is one of the features that is available for Mentimeter, which is good for lectures. If you want to sort of give the students a couple of minutes to figure this one out, you can quickly just click a number on your keyboard, or actually go to the menu on the right side. So you can say, okay, you have 10 minutes to answer this, and please use any resources available. Find out, but you can't use Wolfram Alpha or whatever. Okay, so the next question. This is the quiz functionality of Mentimeter, and I will go through all the functionalities when I show you how to create your own question. So in this case, you just basically need to wait for you to be pushed to this question, and if you're not, I can only see 3 participants at the moment. Can the rest of my participants go to menti.com and then enter the code? Okay, I'm not going to wait for the last one. So, quiz, Mentimeter quiz, it works like this. So you are assigned an avatar, and you can enter your name, and you don't see the question yet because the question is secret. And the rules of the game is basically you have to answer as fast as possible. And today's lecture, or today's class, is about chemistry. So if you're good in chemistry, you will be successful in this question. And as soon as I hit start countdown, it starts counting down, and maybe it's faster on your phone than through the webinar. I don't really know how the latency is. And in this case, I also added an image to show you, to maybe help you out on this question, because I'm asking which is the more electronegative element. And as soon as all the students have answered, the clock stops, everyone has voted, and we move directly over to the correct answer. And all the students will get in the phone the right or the wrong answer. I can choose as a tutor to pick up the leaderboard and see that Steve, you were not only correct, you were also very, very fast. And Jat, you were correct, but it took you a little bit more time to vote on this. And one of the early feature requests when we released this is that there is some students who find it funny to add profanities. And what I can do as a teacher is I can just sort of make that go away if I want to. I hope you saw what I did. I actually just click the name Steve, and it turned to metal. So now you're called metal. Okay, and the next question. Again, you can't see it until I hit the countdown. And remember, answer fast, and you have 20 seconds. And the next question will be, for an object to be considered matter, it must consist of fast. Two students were correct, and congratulations. You guys have listened and you heard what I said, and you will do very good on our end semester test. And the winner of today's quiz is Mr. Metal, or Steve, as we know it is. So congratulations, Steve. Okay, a third way, or a fifth way of showcasing Mentimeter is when the students have had a session or a class, you can have an exit survey using Mentimeter. Get data collected and entered in a structured form. And in this case, I want you to, in any way you want, tell me what you learned. Did you find anything particularly interesting today? How can I improve? Do you have any questions outstanding after today's session? And you can give the students. And if you want the students not to reveal to each other what they said, you just hide the question. And you have this view up like this. So now the results are hidden. And while you're typing, I'm going to show you that there's a keyboard shortcuts list here. You can pick it up from the menu on the left side. And this shows you basically all the hotkeys that you could use. You don't have to use them. You don't have to know this to use Mentimeter, but they are extremely useful when you want to be very pedagogical in your teaching. In this case, I'm going to show you the results because it's possible to get these for the teacher, etc. Roostering. I should have done my homework. Yes. Cool. We'll keep the questions to the next session. So the next part is I'm going to show you a little bit behind the scenes of how Mentimeter works. So I'm going to exit this webinar session. So this is basically how it looks like as soon as you sign up, and it's free to sign up. You can create your own account and you can try out Mentimeter. We limit the functionality a little bit, so you probably, if you want to conduct a larger webinar or a classroom session, you might consider to actually purchase Mentimeter. But this is something we are talking with Jat about to simplify for you guys. So basically, here you have a couple of, in this account, it's Mentimeter's webinars presentation. So I put the webinar I'm doing today here. It's 13 questions. And this could be, for instance, your classroom and things like that. And if I want, if you, for instance, liked my chemistry quiz, I can share this to my organization. So I say chem quiz. And this is how you do knowledge sharing within organization. So I can easily find my colleagues. For instance, here's exactly the webinar we did today or are doing today. And I can just click here, one button, and it's important to my account. You can do this among teachers. And this is one of the features that Mentimeter is not considering. We actually decided to enhance this feature, and talking to Jat if we can pilot a faster way of doing it and a smarter way together with them. So, but how do I create a presentation or a lecture? So basically I click this button, I name my presentation, I have a set of different question types. So a multiple choice question, you figure it out. Image choice, you put image on each choice instead of just text. I can do a word cloud or a Wordle, a quiz question, and as you saw in my previous demo, I had 2 quiz questions in a row. I can do a scale question, which basically means please rate the following from 1 to 10. It could be a way of saying, dear students, please rate today's lecture, and you have a different statement, which could be the pace of the lecture, the pedagogical thing, the preparation of the teacher, or whatever. It can be anything. Open-ended, we tried this one out. 100 points method, it's you get a budget of 100 points and you have to prioritize, and this forces you to not make everything important. 2 by 2, you place things in a 2 by 2 matrix. A classic, who will win this competition, and in this case we only reveal the winner. So if there's no losers or second places, there's only one winner. This can be a very nice way. And then in the bottom here we have different types of quick slides, and I'm going to start by saying creating a quick slide, and I'm going to say today's lecture, and you can add these reactions if you want. This is an add-on. I can also remove them. They are not they're just there for fun. And to showcase a little bit more, I can brand it as how I want it. So in this case, I make it maybe a little bit more charcoal board or how it's called. Now I move on a little bit. Then I click new slide to the left here. And what I want to do is to show you how I can quickly create a multiple choice question. So this is a multiple choice question and option 1, 2, 3, and then I'm done. So it's very, 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 very fast to create a question in Mentimeter. I didn't even have to have the initial picture here. Okay. don't have to vote on this one. I'm going to move on with the webinar. I see I'm doing a good time here. Okay, moving on to where we were. So a couple of benefits of why Mentimeter is useful. It's very, very fast. It's very easy to use. We basically say the best tool is the one you use. I mean, there are options, of course, and I saw in the chat that someone mentioned Call Everywhere. We take a lot of pride in the fast and the ease of use of our tool. We have the logo you saw is from people purchasing Mentimeter. We have many teachers who use us because they like us the most. So I'm very proud of saying that. And the general benefit of using an audience interaction or classroom interaction tool is it's a little bit more innovative, it's much more engaging, and it's much more fun for students, but this you know already. Mentimeter is quite a flexible tool, but we managed to create a flexible tool without adding too much complexity. And it's perfect for blended learning, and it's perfect for formative assessment sessions, as you saw. And there's many different use cases where you can apply this. And no hardware. You need the laptop you're presenting on, but you don't need any clickers. You don't need anything to hand out. You don't need anything like that. You don't need your students to download anything. You can start using Mentimeter tomorrow. They just need to pick up their smartphones, because most of the kids have smartphones today, at least in Illinois. You don't need to download anything. It's no hassle. And then if you want to read more, you can do it on our website. We have mentimeter.com/education for you. Cool, but I'm going to open up for questions and answers. And as you understood, I already have a question, but you can please provide me with it again. I'm also going to sort of look at the chat to see if there is anything I need to answer from there. I got one from Jat here in the chat, which is about accessibility requirements. We are looking into sort of certifying us in that. We have started small by actually starting to consider accessibility much more when we develop, but there is nothing we have today, but yes, we will do that. Some of our customers actually require that, so we're seriously considering it.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Martin. And if you scroll in the chat, I think there were some questions that came in earlier than that question. I don't know if you can see them. If not, I can read them out.
Either you send them to me here, or I can just read the chat. No, I can read the chat. So I'm going to begin with. Okay, so this one: is there a way to connect classroom student identity to allow students to be proficient? Well, one of the simplest approaches we have had is this code you see in the top right corner. I'm not really 100% sure I understand what student rooster means. Could you explain that for me?
Sure. What we typically do is in all the schools, they have a student information system where they keep the class information, and as kids go in, they have the teachers have a roster of all the students that are in that class. We also have all those students also have logins and passwords locally in the school district, and I didn't know if it was still best practice to always use the code that the teacher just posts on the screen, or is there a way to automatically have those? Let's say the teacher is authenticating with Mentimeter, it shows all their students in there. I just didn't know if you had that functionality. It's okay if you don't. I didn't know that.
I didn't understand, and then the answer is no, we don't have that functionality.
Okay, let me add a comment though. This is Bernie, by the way, and great job with the demo. The point here is that as we discussed in our original discussion, the need for organizational context, and it seems like you guys have actually done some work down that path. What Jim is alluding to is that there is a relationship between an instructor and the pupils in the classroom, and that relationship can be useful in terms of making it easier for students to access with potentially not entering a code at a, as long as that information was available to the application. Those are maybe enhancements or types of things that would make this even more appealing in a K-12 environment.
Okay, so if I understood that correctly, it's you're covering what we just talked about regarding having these roster identifying, making students quickly enter the sessions. Is that what you basically said?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could think of a scenario like a teacher prefabricates a set of presentations that maybe they're going to use in a given session. And in that context, students might be able to very easily arrive to that destination because they have this relationship between the teacher and the student for that class session.
Okay. And Martin, one of the things that Jim and I were just talking about is, as you start to explore and go down those different directions with respect to this kind of rostering and whatnot, more than happy to kind of cooperate and collaborate on that front to kind of help get that going. Because we do provide a lot of that to other service providers, and it might be something you'd be interested in, but I think it'd help you because a lot of the different other kinds of survey applications all do the code thing, and we're kind of like, boy, if a teacher could just go in right away and all their kids are in there and they could just start answering questions, that would be an awesome thing.
Yeah,
something to think about. We'd love to work with you on that.
Cool. Yeah, same, really same. Because we are looking at things to sort of lower the threshold to get started in interacting with you or with the Mentimeter, and there's different ways of doing that. So it could be very interesting.
And that's the exciting part here, and that's what I wanted to emphasize, is that being able to imagine how the tool can be used in the classroom by teachers and having teachers help provide that, particularly in the K-12 setting, is a really good thing. And understanding the organizational structure to a slight degree, where we've got this teacher-student relationship that's happening across the scheduling component. So those are all interesting topics that may in fact invite some investigation and exploration, and you guys were open to that. So yeah. I wanted to emphasize that point.
Cool.
And I think that segues into kind of the next two questions, which are essentially just different phrasing. The big question is that districts start looking at Mentimeter and start comparing it to things like Socrative, I think I put secretive, but Socrative and Active Engage and Pull Anywhere. Kind of what's the big value message that segments or separates Mentimeter from all these other players?
Yeah, and I tried to read up a little bit on Active Engage, and I realized that it's a little bit more heavy tool in terms of things you need, and same goes with Socrative. I figure you need to download a couple of things. I think that Mentimeter is a little bit more an open platform to create what you want to create specifically for you as a teacher. Socrative has more specifically featured towards students and teachers, for instance. What we can do in Mentimeter at the moment is, for instance, grading and reporting in such a way that Socrative can do. We're much more focused on the ease of use. Sometimes I casually use the phrasing you use and you throw away, because you want to create something in the spur of the moment, or you want to make this lecture good, and then you create it and you can use Mentimeter and it's fast. Although we're growing as a company, and I see that a lot of people want to sort of create the entire lecture using Mentimeter. In that sense, we want to enhance the ability to store item. So the next question also, if we have an item bank, that's one of the things I want to enhance. I can show you a little bit about that. You see the examples tab here. You have the organization tab, which will be templates from other teachers. So you can just pick a math class or whatever. The thing is, this is a little bit user unfriendly. This is not the standard of Mentimeter. These are predefined items to sort of inspire people to use Mentimeter. And as you can see, I click the educational tab. You see that as a platform, we have different use cases, different situations where you can use Mentimeter. So this one I can just click and I add it to my presentation. And this is like showcasing basically what I did today in the webinar. So and this is something we already have enhanced, just haven't released it. So you will see an update on this soon.
If a district has a collection of items already, is there an import function?
Yes, you click here, add to your presentation. So basically you can, if I like this this tumor question here, I click import. It's imported to my account. So I can do this basically during a lecture, and then you should be ready to vote in seconds. So here you go. So now you can key in this.
But if I have, yeah, I guess my question is, if I have an existing collection of items by some third party,
yeah.
is there a bulk import function that I could seed the library with?
Like if you want to import like a set of question or two, I'm not sure. I didn't catch that last one.
Yeah, let's say I have 1,000 math questions that I currently use. Can I import those 1,000 questions into Mentimeter in an easy way?
Okay, you mean like that? No, not in an easy way as a user, but I'm considering if it's something we can do like a one-off if that's needed, because if you have 1,000, it might be relevant to just import them once and for all.
I think that maybe it's really important to not look at the tool for more than it currently is. It really is just a presentation tool, and if the goal would be to be a question bank and to be able to use individual questions or individual slides to create new presentations for teachers, maybe that's not in the scope of the current application, but certainly something to talk about as potential targets of concepts. So it's an important example, but the current state of this application is was just, even in the first presentation, very individual orientated. Now we've got the context of organization, being able to share across that. That's a wonderful advancement there. But still, the context is creating presentations and being able to present those in a meaningful, fun way. Yeah. I suppose the core of the question is that if we can import some content, that's great. It looks like those features were limited to images and that sort of thing. But let's say, for instance, in the context of a survey, is the data that was collected during the survey and the avatars or the names that were typed in, are those data extractable? Can they be exported so that they're useful in Excel or some other method?
Yes, and I can show you maybe. I don't know if you can see. Do you see this now?
So the export to Excel. Yep.
Yeah. So here I have the Excel export. If I click that, I get this download. See if I can. I don't know if do you see this? No, it's probably going to open as Excel. Let me share the Excel for you so you can see that instead.
Okay.
So do you capture this now? Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yep.
So as you can see here, each voter is like assigned a number okay. Yeah, your number. And then you get each row here is each voter, each student, you can say. So if I, for instance, ask my students, like, what is your name? And you trust that they are honest, you can actually follow that student's answer throughout.
That's what identity systems are for. We don't. Yeah, self-reporting is unreliable at best, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, and we haven't focused on that. And then but this is for instance how you do it. And if you don't want to look at it in that perspective, you have a different. I just click the sheet number 2, which is basically the first session I did here, so you can see the total votes here instead of per voter. So you get both the people friendly version and the sort of summary version. Right. So yes, you can extract it, and it's very easy to do.
And from the educators' point of view that are on this call, it just seemed like this is probably very important in context of what you have available as a feature within the application and how it might be useful. And the context of loading prefabricated question banks and that sort of thing, maybe that's a thing that we can certainly take a look at, but by current design, it looks like you've got to type that stuff in.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. It's Bernie, right?
Looks like there's a couple of more questions. Next one is, are the items that are currently loaded in the system aligned to any kind of standards?
No, not at the moment. We haven't been able to do much thought leadership and standard alignments with the content. It's actually generated from our user base, basically.
And Nicholas, you also mentioned in our previous call that the majority of the educators that you've historically worked with are in the higher education realm and not necessarily K-12, although you guys have some exposure in that environment as well, right?
Definitely. I mean, yes, we have a lot of exposure, but the most of the examples and who we work with came from the higher education. But yes, the quiz, for instance, is one of our initiatives to reach lower down to the K-12. But it's, as you can see, a bit professional oriented as well. It's not just fun and dance.
Yep.
Cool. Should I take the next question?
Okay, great. Yes, so I think you already answered the accessibility question. I think there was one before that. I think Jim was trying to access a quiz from his phone, and it was asking him to reload, but it seems that it wasn't letting him back in. So I think the question is does the leader have to approve kids joining?
No, that can be a sort of a hiccup. Normally, when we have those kind of small hiccups, it should be able to click reload, and if it doesn't, I need to sort of check that. But you can always join Mentimeter, and that's why we always have the code. That's for ease of use. So late entered students can just key in their code. It will always be visible.
That is nice, having that code up there all the time, because then I just killed it and I killed the app, and then I just went back in and I was able to get back in. So I solved my own problem. Yep.
Great.
Okay, next question. With this exit survey, can it give feedback for what the student got wrong? Or can the question lead to another learning experience?
Well, I picked it up here, the exit survey. So for instance, if I can highlight one of the questions that one of the students talked about and say they learned something and might be wrong, you can sort of correct them. You can talk about this session of like, wow, this is a great classroom tools. This is fantastic feedback. So this is one way of interacting with the students based on their input. But there is no sort of
the open-ended question mode doesn't accomplish a mechanism for interaction like that.
This is the open-ended question, but this is the interaction that you can do. You can basically highlight.
That was my question, because I guess what I was thinking, and maybe this would just take creativity on the teacher's part, but if you notice a certain trend, that maybe instead of using this more as a classroom tool, you could have like mini sessions set up, either for small groups or even one-on-one, where the student could just take the quiz on their own, just to see how they were doing. But it could be on just like a specific topic. Like if in math or science, if there was one specific concept that they were struggling with, and you created just one quiz on that one topic, just that they had all the questions on that topic. So I guess that's what I was thinking, like, is there a way that it could trigger, oh gosh, they're having trouble with X, and so I should recommend that they take this quiz. But maybe that's just the teacher knowing, hey, maybe, during your free time, you could just review this. That would be a fun way for a review.
It's more the later part, because as Bernie pointed out, Mentimeter is an excellent, easy to use and fast to use presentation tool, basically, with the interaction element. And the interaction element creates many, many possibilities and effects.
Right.
And the quiz, for instance, the quiz and the way we designed it is supposed to create this energy in the room. It's supposed to get the students to get on their feet and then try really hard to focus on the correct answer. But you can only do that in the room with Mentimeter. So that's our focus, and that's where we try to be really, really good at. So
right. But I guess in my head, I was thinking, gosh, I go in sometimes and volunteer in classrooms with small groups, and I could be doing this with 6 or 7 kids that are struggling on a concept.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be a lot easier in some ways if I'm unfamiliar with the concept, because it's telling me, I'm not sort of making up whether or not, or having a look up, did they all get the right answers? And there's still that energy is there. Yep. I'm just helping to facilitate and kind of monitoring whether or not the kids are, how well they're doing. And they're kind of that, I really like this idea. I was just kind of wondering, how could you also do it if kids are still struggling? Mm-hmm. Could you break it down even into or maybe the kids themselves start, helping to make these quizzes, or something like that. So,
well, that's really quite interesting, and it seems like there may be a possibility to entertain things like presentation branches, for instance, that may be conditional or chosen at different points. You could do that manually now by having various segments that you could move in between relatively quickly, but they're not connected, right?
Yeah, well, and I guess that's exactly what I was wondering, like if it could be conditionally, like if in my head I was thinking, gosh, you could have, if the students started to struggle, then there was the next quiz, and these 5 students went to this center, and then they could keep going along the lines of this quiz, and then the others went on this one, and the other, and the teachers just made multiple quizzes and they differentiated them, and you're just making smaller and smaller groups that still had the same idea. And I understand your notion of the full class and things like that, and but I thought, gosh, this is okay, here's my opening and my formative assessment. But in some cases you could also hone this down and still help kids and get that competitive, how quickly can I do this, can I figure this out, and conditionally work through it, and maybe that's what someday you do a version where it automatically does that, but that's hard in a large group setting, because not everybody's going to, you would have to have multiple questions show up.
No. It has to be done manually by the teacher.
Right.
But possible, definitely. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think these are all great thoughts, and I think the challenge is always ease of use, simplicity, and what have you, and balancing that with features and functionality. But yeah, great discussion. There's one last question. What are some of the big districts that you're in right now in the U.S.? Or are you just entering that market?
We are basically just entering that market. Martin is nodding here next to me, because yeah, we actually spent a half a year with the entire company in San Francisco to understand a little bit more. Well, it was basically to understand the US market. We realized that we had a much larger presence than we realized, which was fantastic. And Martin is one of our newest colleagues to sort of start entering the market, and that's why this call is quite important to us, because this is going to be a very big learning experience for me as a product owner and for us as a company. So that's my answer. And as well, to give you a bit of understanding, that most of our revenue and then the customers we have are actually based in the US, but looking on a statewide level and at this scale, we don't have any presence in this big scale yet.
Yeah, so I'm definitely very interested in continuing to work with you guys and collaborate and kind of help develop that market for you. Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, I think that was the last question. Any remaining comments or questions? If not, Martin and team, thank you so much for your time today. We found this to be very informative and very valuable, and enjoyed it very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And yeah, Jat and Bernie will get back to you on the emails of how to follow up, and yeah, continue our discussion.
Thank you. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.